Stop scrolling, because that old Lincoln wheat penny sitting in your collection, coin jar, or pocket change could be worth far more than 1 cent. From rare Lincoln wheat pennies to valuable mint marks, doubled dies, key dates, and incredible mint errors, some of these historic U.S. pennies have reached astonishing prices at auction. The Lincoln wheat cent was produced from 1909 to 1958, and while most are worth only a small premium, a few rare examples can be worth hundreds, thousands, or even far more. So before you spend another old penny, check the date, mint mark, condition, and every tiny detail, because the next coin you find could be a hidden treasure. First up, listen to me carefully, because the 1940 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is one of those coins that can look completely ordinary at first glance, but the details are where the story begins. If you have a 1940 wheat penny with no letter underneath the date, you are looking at a Philadelphia mint issue. And while the absence of a mint mark does not automatically make this coin rare, certain high-grade examples, proof coins, and unusual mint errors can be significantly more valuable than an ordinary circulated penny. The key is knowing exactly what you have before you decide what it is worth. The 1940 Lincoln wheat cent was produced during an important period in American history. The United States was approaching the Second World War, and the Lincoln wheat penny had already been in circulation for more than 3 decades. Victor David Brenner's famous Lincoln design had been introduced in 1909, and the wheatier reverse remained on the cent until 1958. The 1940 Philadelphia issue had a massive mintage of 586,810,000 coins, making it the most heavily produced of the 3 regular 1940 mint issues. Denver produced 81,390,000, while San Francisco produced 112,940,000. Now, look closely at your coin. On the obverse, you should see Abraham Lincoln facing right, with "In God We Trust" above his portrait, Liberty beside his head, and the date 1940 to the right. Directly below the date is where the mint mark would normally appear on a Denver or San Francisco coin. If that area is completely blank, don't assume something is missing. For a Philadelphia 1940 Lincoln wheat penny, no mint mark is exactly what you should expect. A 1940 D has a small d, and a 1940 S has an S. That tiny letter can dramatically change how collectors identify a coin, which is why checking the mint mark area should always be one of your first steps. Flip the coin over, and the classic wheat reverse immediately gives away its age. 2 wheat ears frame the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America, while EPLURIBUSUNUM appears above. The coin was made from the traditional bronze composition used for Lincoln cents of this period, about 95% copper with the balance tin and zinc. It weighs approximately 3.11 grams, measures 19 millimeters across, and has a plain edge. But here's where things become interesting for collectors. Condition matters enormously. A worn 1940 Philadelphia wheat penny is generally not a major rarity. Many circulated examples are worth only a modest amount above face value, depending on condition and the current market. But a sharply struck, original, attractive coin with strong detail can command much more attention. NGC's data shows that 1940 Philadelphia cents were generally well made, and fully red gem examples are available. The difference between an ordinary brown circulated coin and an exceptional red mint state specimen can therefore be enormous. When collectors grade a 1940 wheat penny, they look for the amount of wear on Lincoln's hair, cheek, jaw, and coat, as well as the sharpness of the wheat ears and lettering on the reverse. A coin graded good or very fine will show substantial circulation, while an extremely fine or about uncirculated example can retain considerably more detail. Once you reach mint state, the coin has no circulation wear, and collectors begin paying much closer attention to luster, marks, strike quality, and color designation. Brown, red-brown, and red can make a major difference in the market value of copper coins, And this is where the 1940 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny gets exciting. PCGS records an auction result of $805 for a 1940 Philadelphia cent graded MS62 brown, sold by Heritage Auctions in July 2006. That is a dramatic reminder that even a coin with a very large original mintage can become valuable when exceptional condition, certification, and collector demand come together. The numbers become even more surprising when you move into the finest red examples. PCGS reports an auction record of $14,950 for a 1940 Philadelphia Lincoln cent graded MS68 red, sold by Bowers and Marina in August 2006. That's the kind of result that turns a seemingly ordinary 1-cent coin into a serious numismatic prize. And remember, this does not mean every 1940 no-mint mark penny is worth thousands. The record belongs to an extraordinary condition rarity, not the average coin found in a jar. There is another category you should watch for: errors and varieties. Don't automatically assume every strange-looking 1940 penny is valuable, because damage after leaving the mint can create scratches, dents, discoloration, or distorted lettering. A genuine mint error is different. Collectors may look for unusual striking characteristics: doubled design elements, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, or other abnormalities that can be authenticated as having occurred during the minting process. If you think your 1940 wheat penny has a genuine mint error, avoid cleaning or polishing it. Removing the original surface can permanently reduce collector appeal and may destroy evidence that an expert needs to evaluate. There is also an important distinction between a regular 1940 Philadelphia business strike and a 1940 proof. Philadelphia produced only 15,872 proof examples in 1940, a tiny production figure compared with the hundreds of millions of regular cents. Proof coins were specially prepared for collectors and can display sharper details and distinctive surfaces. PCGS records a 1940 proof, graded PR65 selling for $1,380 at a Bowers and Marina auction in August 2004. So if your 1940 penny has unusually sharp details and a mirror-like proof appearance, don't treat it like an ordinary circulated wheat cent. For a normal 1940 no-mint mark penny, value depends heavily on grade and preservation. A circulated example may bring only a modest premium, while certified mint state coins can move into higher price levels. As one real-world reference point, PCGS's auction database records a certified MS66 red 1940 Philadelphia cent selling for $25.99, while a PCGS recorded MS67 plus red example sold for $290 in 2021 and had additional auction appearances around the hundreds of dollars. These numbers show exactly why condition is so important. Two coins with the identical date and no mint mark can have dramatically different values. So if you're holding a 1940 Lincoln wheat penny right now, don't just look at the date and immediately search for a giant price. Start with the basics. Confirm that the date is actually 1940. Check underneath the date and make sure there is truly no D or S mint mark. Examine Lincoln's portrait for wear. Look at the wheat ears and lettering on the reverse. Check whether the original copper color remains and look carefully for scratches, cleaning, corrosion, or other damage. Then inspect the coin under good lighting for anything unusual that could potentially be a genuine mint-made error. Most importantly, never clean the coin to make it look more valuable. A shiny coin is not necessarily a valuable coin. Harsh cleaning can leave permanent hairlines and damage the original surface, often making a collectible coin less desirable. If the coin appears unusually well preserved, has an unusual strike, or looks like a proof, professional authentication and grading may be worth considering. The fascinating thing about the 1940 Lincoln wheat penny is that its story isn't simply about rarity. It's about condition, originality, variety, errors, and provenance. More than 500 million Philadelphia cents were made that year, yet the very finest surviving examples can bring prices that seem unbelievable compared with their 1-cent face value. So the next time a 1940 wheat penny appears in an old collection, inherited coin jar, or box of vintage cents, remember, the absence of a mint mark is normal for Philadelphia, but what happens next depends on what the coin looks like under the surface. Next up, what if I told you that a 1944 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark can be worth anywhere from a few cents to thousands of dollars? And in one extraordinary case, a 1944 penny struck on the wrong metal reached an astonishing 6-figure auction price. The first thing you need to understand is that a 1944 Lincoln wheat penny with no mint mark is normally a Philadelphia mint coin, and the majority are common. But this date has a fascinating secret. 1944 is one of the most important years in the entire Lincoln wheat penny series for discovering rare off-metal errors. So before you dismiss that old brown penny as ordinary, there are several details you absolutely need to check. The 1944 Lincoln wheat cent was produced during the final years of World War II, when the United States was still dealing with enormous wartime demand for copper and other strategic metals. The previous year, in 1943, the U.S. Mint had switched Lincoln cents to zinc-coated steel because copper was needed for the war effort. But in 1944, the cent returned to a copper-based alloy. The Philadelphia Mint produced approximately 1.435 billion 1944 Lincoln cents, making it an extremely common regular issue. The standard 1944 Philadelphia cent weighs about 3.11 grams, measures 19 millimeters, has a plain edge, and uses a copper alloy consisting of about 95% copper with tin and zinc. Now look directly underneath the date on your coin. If there is no D and no S, you have the Philadelphia version. A small d identifies a Denver Mint coin, while an S identifies San Francisco. This distinction is important because collectors often assume that a missing mint mark automatically means a rare coin. It doesn't. On a normal 1944 Philadelphia Lincoln wheat penny, having no mint mark is completely normal. The real question is what condition the coin is in, and whether something unusual happened when it was struck. Turn the coin over and you'll see Victor David Brenner's famous wheat reverse. 2 wheat ears surround the words 1 cent and United States of America, with EPLURIBUS UNUM above. This classic design was used on Lincoln cents from 1909 through 1958. But the most interesting part of the 1944 story isn't the design, it's the metal. Here comes the discovery that can completely change the value of a 1944 no-mint mark penny. Some extremely rare 1944 cents were accidentally struck on zinc-coated steel planchets, the same basic type of metal used for the 1943 steel cent. These are known as 1944 steel cents, and they are among the most famous and valuable Lincoln cent errors. PCGS describes the 1944 steel cent as an extremely rare off-metal striking, with surviving examples estimated in very small numbers. Its PCGS auction record currently stands at an astonishing $180,000 for an MS-64 example, sold by Heritage Auctions in June 2021. And here's where your 1944 no-mint mark coin becomes especially interesting. Philadelphia examples of the 1944 steel era are known. So if someone tells you that every 1944 penny without a mint mark should be copper, remember this exception. A genuine 1944 Philadelphia steel cent is extraordinarily rare. It should not look like a normal copper penny, and because it is steel, it can react to a magnet. But don't stop at the magnet test. A magnetic reaction alone does not authenticate a rare coin. The weight, dimensions, surface characteristics, composition, and professional examination all matter. In fact, PCGS notes that the 1944 steel cent may have resulted from a leftover 1943 steel blank or potentially a planchet associated with foreign coin production. There is another reason collectors pay close attention to the 1944 date. mint-made varieties and errors. The 1944 D, for example, is known with a D over S over mint mark variety, but that is a Denver issue, not the Philadelphia no mint mark coin. On your 1944 Philadelphia cent, you should instead look for legitimate striking abnormalities such as off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, die cracks, laminations, and other authenticated mint errors. However, be extremely careful. Scratches, dents, corrosion, machine damage, or alterations that happened after the coin left the mint are not the same thing as genuine mint errors. Now let's talk about grading, because this is where the value of an ordinary 1944 no mint mark wheat penny can change dramatically. A heavily circulated coin with worn details and a brown surface is generally common and inexpensive. But as you move upward into about uncirculated and mint state grades, collectors begin looking for sharper details, attractive original surfaces, strong luster, and minimal marks. Copper coins are also classified by color: brown, red-brown, or red. A highly preserved red example can command a substantial premium compared with an ordinary circulated brown coin. The auction records demonstrate just how dramatic this difference can become. PCGS currently lists an auction record of $24,400 for a 1944 Philadelphia Lincoln cent graded MS68 red, sold by Heritage Auctions in January 2026. That doesn't mean your average 1944 wheat penny is worth $24,400. Far from it. This is an extraordinary, professionally graded example at an exceptionally high grade. The lesson is that date alone doesn't determine value. Grade, color, preservation, rarity, and authentication all matter. In fact, PCGS auction data shows how wide the market can be. A certified 1944 example in a lower circulated grade can sell for dramatically different amounts from a superb mint state coin, while even certified MS65 red examples have appeared at much more modest prices. One PCGS recorded MS65 red example sold for $24.49, illustrating why you should never assume that every professionally graded 1944 cent is automatically worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. For a normal circulated 1944 Lincoln wheat penny, without a mint mark, values are usually modest. Many ordinary examples trade for around the level of a small collector premium rather than life-changing money. The major jump comes with exceptional condition, desirable color, unusual varieties, or genuine mint errors. So if your coin is worn, brown, scratched, and heavily circulated, don't be disappointed. It's still a fascinating piece of World War II-era American history. But if your coin has sharp details, original red color, unusually clean surfaces, or an unusual metal appearance, that's when you should slow down and investigate. One of the biggest mistakes collectors make is cleaning their coins. Do not polish, scrub, soak, or chemically clean your 1944 wheat penny. A coin that looks dirty can sometimes have valuable original surfaces, while a cleaned coin may lose collector appeal. If you suspect you have a 1944 steel cent, a major mint error, or an exceptionally high-grade red specimen, professional authentication from a respected grading service can be far more useful than trying to improve its appearance yourself. And now think about what makes this date so fascinating. More than 1.4 billion regular Philadelphia 1944 cents were struck, yet a tiny number of extraordinary pieces can command prices that are completely disconnected from their 1-cent face value. The regular no mint mark coin is common, but the right error, the right condition, or the right combination of characteristics can transform the story. So when you find a 1944 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark, don't immediately search for a giant price and don't immediately throw it into a spending pile either. First, verify the date. Then check the mint mark area. Examine the color and condition. Weigh the coin if you have an accurate scale. Look for unusual striking characteristics, and if the coin appears to be steel, investigate it carefully rather than assuming you've found a fortune. The ordinary 1944 Philadelphia wheat penny may be common, but the extraordinary exceptions are exactly why coin collectors keep searching through old jars, inherited collections, rolls, and forgotten boxes, because sometimes the most important clue isn't the date itself. It's the tiny detail that almost everyone else overlooked.